Hey kids! So this is my next video in my fishing series. I went fishing with my brother Rick a couple weeks ago, and I'm finally getting around to showing you our experience. Today's video is brought to you by Lubriderm Daily Moisture Lotion, fragrance free. They've been a good partner of Dad How Do I, so I'm very grateful for them wanting to keep working with us. And they've been very easy to work with. And yeah, so if you like a fragrance free, they also make that. So, unfortunately, we had limited time when my brother, so I'm making excuses already with my fishing. Me and my brother Rick, we met early in the morning, but I actually had to go record a podcast, and so I was only there for just a short time. But we were hoping to catch something, but we were more trying to show you the experience, and then also how to cast and how to net and how to do a few things. So I hope you enjoy it, because a lot of fishing is actually hanging out together. You might not actually do a whole lot of catching, and that was our case for this. We still enjoyed each other's company. We unfortunately didn't catch anything. So we're gonna have another video coming out with fishing where we actually catch something. So just so you know that we actually do catch fish. I do have a couple dad jokes for you. So why did Batman stop taking Robin fishing? Because he kept eating all the worms. So. And then, are you getting tired of these fish puns? Maybe I'll scale back. Scale back. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. Okay, check this out. I'm going to meet Rick for fishing. I just had to include this for you. That's Mount Rainier. Pretty impressive. So cool. Got a beautiful day today too, so just wanted to share that with you. So here we are, we're out fishing. We're going to show you how we tried to pick a secluded spot so that we didn't have a lot of looky-loos while we're trying to record this. I'm here with my brother Rick. You know Rick.
Hi, I'm Rick. Hopefully you remember me. Yeah.
You remember Rick. So Rick was nice enough to come out here and meet me early this morning. He normally fishes off a boat. He has a boat but we wanted to show you how to cast and just kind of show you what the experience is like, because not everybody has a boat. So anyway, so we're out here on a dock. We're going to show you how to cast, and I've already showed you how to set up your line, and then we got two different ways of fishing. You got a lure, and if you're in a boat, you're able to just troll that lure behind the boat, but we're going to be casting the lure and reeling it in, casting and reeling it in. And we're also going to do some bottom fishing where we're just casting and letting it sit for a time. So we're going to walk you through, and I'll have Rick show you how to cast, and I'll show you how to cast. And everybody's a little bit different, I think. One thing with casting though, you got to be really careful with people around you, because when you're pulling that thing back, you just got to be aware of your aware of your surroundings. You don't want to hook Rick and throw him into the lake.
Yeah.
So you do got to be careful with that. So anyway, let's go ahead and show you what that looks like.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah. So Rick's got a little different setup than what I showed you, because he's just going to try something different. I think a lot of times we've just used the same thing, right? So we're just going to try a couple different things.
Yeah, normally
yours is pretty similar to what I normally do.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I brought another pole just in case I don't want to, in case I don't like this and want to change over.
Yeah.
But I thought I'd try this. It's a little bit different. When I've taught my sons and grandkids to cast, one of the main things you want to keep in mind is don't get your pole like this. See how this line is going to come up and wind around your pole, okay? So when you're getting ready to cast, or when you're just kind of sitting in the boat or whatever, kind of keep your pole more like that, where you see how it's hanging there, it's not going to get wrapped around anything.
Yeah,
okay?
That's a good call, because you want to be fishing. You want to get the line in the water. And if you're messing with the thing wrapped around the pole,
yeah, well,
that's no fun.
So frustrating.
Right.
Okay, so this is an open face spinning reel, is what they call this, and it has a spool right there that the line winds around, and it winds around. This part is called the bail, and it's closed on the spool, and then it winds around and winds it in. Now to cast, you open that bail up like that, and I'm holding I'm holding the line with my finger here to keep it from just falling out. So I don't know if you can see that or not, but
yeah.
Okay, and then again, kind of keeping it where it's hanging down here. I bring it back here, make sure I'm clear, and then I just flip it. I let go with my finger and I flip it out there. Okay, again, I reel my line in kind of up as far as I can, and now I've got it hanging out there. I flip that bail, and then when I throw it, when I bring the rod forward, throw it, I let go with my finger to let that line be able to fly out.
You cast it a little too far, Rick. I wasn't able to.
Oh, did I cast too far?
No, it's okay. I don't think it actually showed it, but yeah. So you're getting. I was trying to back up enough so you could see.
Okay, well, I'll throw it.
Well, I mean, you usually want to cast pretty good, but we're limited on our space here. So let me try. Yeah. See if I just want to kind of catch it where it's landing. So if we can.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. We got it.
Did you see that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Great. And then Rick's bottom fishing. Okay, let me come around here. So Rick is bottom fishing, and so he flipped it out there, and then you just let it sit, right? And so, he has the sinker down at the bottom, and then up above is the bait. And kind of the same thing that I'm going to do, right? I have my, remember how Rick talked about that? I've kind of wrapped it around here. Okay, so we're like, let me see here. Might have to edit this out because it shows that, or it might show you the frustrations of fishing. So
that came apart pretty
yeah,
quick,
yeah, I actually did pretty good. Okay, so there's my setup, and I got my hook, so I just got to put my bait on, and my this rod that I'm going to show you, this I don't normally fish with this rod, but I'm just going to show you. And the way this works is you just push this button. Okay, it's kind of easier for kids. You just push that button and then you cast. Okay, so I got to put some bait on, and then I'll come right back. Okay, so I'm using power bait or a knockoff. It doesn't, I'm not promoting them necessarily because there's lots of different kinds of this. So it's Seahawk colors, or I'm not sure. So it's blue, yellow, Rams maybe. So anyway, so the way I do it is I put this on here and I kind of shape it on here because you don't want to lose your power bait every time too. So you want to make sure it's on there securely. And I don't know if this really does anything, but I always try to kind of get the hook so where it's sitting like that, and I kind of make sure you mold it. Okay. And then I have the hook where it's just kind of sitting there. You see that hook? It's just sitting there, kind of hidden up against there. Yep. So, and one thing I always do too is I actually dip this in the water to kind of make sure that it's going to stay on there before I cast. If you had older bait like this, it doesn't work as well. It doesn't stay on your hook as well. And so you go to cast and there goes your bait. Your bait's flying that way and your hook's flying that way. So we want to make sure that that the bait's actually there when we cast. Okay. So I'm going to back up here and I'm going to show you how to cast this. Okay. So I'm just pushing that button like that. Okay. And hopefully, I don't know. Let me make sure that this is going to work. So, okay. So it wasn't really locked in. So I'm going to push that button. Okay. Push it. And then when I cast, I let go of the button. I hang onto the rod. Right?
I think cast pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Yeah. Nice.
I got decent weight on it.
I saw that. Yeah, that's good.
Okay, so now I'm actually just letting the line out because I want to let that sink. Okay. And just leave it alone. Okay. The temptation is to want to, so see how I let all that line out? Now you can see it. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it's just kind of sitting there, sinking down to the bottom. Okay. And then once I know that it's kind of where I want it, then I lock it in, because right now the line can keep coming out. See that? Okay. And then I just lock it in by reeling. That's how that one works. Compared to the open bail, you got to flip that bail back over, or you just reel and it'll flip back over too. Did you show that? I didn't know if we got
I don't
that.
think I did. No.
Okay. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah, you just crank it. It flips over on its own.
Yeah.
Although I've seen some that are kind of stiff almost, to where
Yeah.
you really got to crank it, so you just flip the bale over. And,
You know, I've gotten to where I just always flip it over. I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't know why I got in the habit. I probably had one that was stiff and I was fighting it. So.
yeah.
So we're just on the dock here, hanging out, and we always bring coffee and donuts. That's kind of been a tradition.
Yeah.
Right? When we're on a boat, we'll have Mr. Goodbar and other snacks too. Vienna sausages. I don't know who decided we liked those, but
I think. Oh yeah. Yeah.
here, let me pull it closer so make sure. So we're a big part of fishing is, and I hinted about this in my first video, was just hanging out together. You know, Rick and I are good friends, not only brothers, but we're good friends and real close. And a lot of times just hanging out together and getting caught up on things, but also silence is kind of nice too. Just hanging out, you know.
It is nice to catch fish.
Yeah.
If you can. So, but like Rob was saying, we used to kind of have occasionally. You couldn't get to eat any Mr. Goodbar, part of your Mr. Goodbar, until you actually caught a fish.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
I was young enough. So I probably just ate it anyway.
Okay. So. Or even I try to hold out, but usually we eat things before we actually catch a fish. But a lot of times fishing, you got to kind of figure out how to fish different places too. And I was thinking about this when Rob was saying he's going to make these videos. And Rob probably said this, there's a million different ways to fish. This is kind of basic how to handle, things like he was saying. So I'm sure there's going to be lots of comments that I do this and I do that, and that's cool.
Yeah.
That's where you're at, and that's how you fish, and so you kind of got to find out what's happening.
Right.
I like fishing from a boat, like Rob was saying, because you can kind of move around a lot more. You're not limited, and generally speaking, you're kind of not apt to snag as much from a boat because you're when you're shore fishing, you're dragging your line back up through stuff more. When a boat, you're kind of like bringing it straight up, so to speak. So. Mm-hmm. So you can, who knows, we might get a snag and show them what that's like.
Yeah, there are things like that you have to deal with. And one thing that Rick just touched on is, when in my videos I do try to show a way. I'm not showing you the way, Dad's way or the highway. I'm showing you a way, right? So please keep that in mind, right? Like Rick said, there's so many different ways to fish. Yeah, we're just showing you one way that we do it, and it's worked for us.
Yeah.
So you might find a better way, and more power to you.
Exactly.
If you do, that's great. One thing Rick touched on too is the boat. One of the ways that we did, and Rick actually taught me this. So we would, in the boat, we would troll what we call a Christmas tree, but it's actually pop gear, I think is what it's called. I don't know if that's a brand name or not. It probably is. And we would troll around with that, right? Troll around. But when you catch a fish with pop gear, with all those flashers on there, and you reel it in, it's like you can't even feel the fish, especially these planters, because these planters are only 8 to 10 inches usually. Sometimes you'll get something a little bit bigger, and so what we would do is we kind of troll shoreline, kind of work our way around, or even up and down the middle, just try to see where the fish are, and then we'd park, and then we'd catch fish once we kind of realized. We passed a couple times. Oh, we got a fish. Oh, same place, got a fish. Okay, let's kind of hang out here and see if we can bottom fish.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Try to locate them.
And that always worked well. I thought.
Yeah, it's a lot. And then you get all that gear off of your line.
Right.
And which is that fish. Not only is that fish fighting your rod, it's fighting that gear too. So
yeah,
it's just way more fun. The less gear you have on your pole, it's that much more fun to play that fish.
Yeah.
To catch it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So I'm going to just going to reel this in because I'm just going to show you. And I think we're actually going to end up going to a different spot because this is right off the dock. I don't know. I mean, sometimes the fish are right, right there, and you go hunting for them, and you go all over the place trying to find them. But this isn't probably a place I would normally fish. We're going to show you where we normally fish. But this was, I just thought, for a good experience, and nobody was here. Thankfully, we're here early enough that we beat the other crowd. Because if I was going to videotape, it would have been a little awkward.
Yeah. And
yeah, go ahead.
That's another thing I was thinking, you know, sometimes you're up before the fish, but people talk about a morning bite and an evening bite, you know, when the fish feed. So right now they might not be feeding quite yet. So you have to have a certain amount of patience until you're familiar with your area and the times when, you know, you were catching. That's why when it's kind of fun to actually if you go on vacation and go fishing, and a new place, to actually spend a couple of days there to talk to people and kind of learn a little bit about you know, how to catch the fish there and what the habits are or what have you, where they are, and you can always learn something, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, Rob, we do have this local lake that we do know pretty well. Rob and I fished on it when he was younger, and our kids, and now I'm fishing there with my grandkids too. Yeah. And it's pretty much a sure bet, especially from a boat. There's got all kinds of weeds and lily pads and stuff. You know, it's kind of a shallow lake. But it gets warm, and in the summer, when it gets warm, water warms up, and you got the kind of the warm water fish like perch and bluegill and bass and stuff like that. They kind of travel in schools, and so if you start to catch them, oh my gosh, you almost can't keep them off your line.
Yeah.
And so hopefully, maybe you know.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to be taking my granddaughter's just turned 6, so it's kind of time for her maybe to get a chance to go out in a boat and, you know, experience catching a fish.
Yeah, and you can see what that one's
like.
It
doesn't matter how big they are, you know, who cares, as long as you're catching them.
A little funny story about that lake. We used to go there, and there was a guy that would break out his lawnmower. And he would, and I don't know that he really even had grass. We would always joke that he was mowing his rocks because it was like he'd be, and you know, it's all quiet like it is right now. This is part of the cool thing about getting up early and going fishing. It's peaceful, you know. This lake is beautiful, and we're just kind of hanging out together. But then he would disturb that peace with mowing his rocks. So I mean, he had a house on the lake, so I guess he's entitled. But it was always kind of fun.
Yeah, but we kind of, as we were trying to figure out where to fish in that lake, and it's like, I think we were catching where that guy was mowing his rocks. So we go over there, near there, and park. Yeah, I remember that.
So you marked that. It is important to kind of pay attention. Where did I catch that fish so that you can get back to it? And this guy was.
He was a pretty good
we knew
landmark.
where he was. So I'm gonna. This lure and the hook is probably a little bit big for this lake, but I'm just really showing you. Yeah, this is what you do with a lure. The lure is actually not bad. The hook might be a little bit bigger because it's from a lake that we normally fish at that has bigger fish. And I'm going to show you. So let me show you this too. This is something that you want to know about is your drag. This is my drag right here, and what it does is, see how I can pull this line out. I can pull that line out. Okay. Now if I take this and I tighten it, I turn it. Okay, I'm turning it. It's harder to pull it out. See that? It's harder to pull it out. I tighten it more. It gets harder and harder to pull it out. Okay. And what that's for is you want to play with the fish and you can loosen your drag. So if somebody says, loosen your drag, you just turn this, right? On most things. Is that how your reel works, Rick? It's right on the
top. Yeah,
right on
here.
the top. Yeah, you just got to.
Some of them have it back here.
Yeah, and I think mine on that other one, I'm not even sure it works because that other one's kind of old, but it has a little thing on the side that you turn. And what that's for is so that when you're fighting the fish, it allows the fish to take it a little bit, and you play with them, right? So when you're reeling him in, he's able to take some of the line out, especially a bigger fish. You know, these smaller fish, it's going to be, they probably won't really pull.
Otherwise, you break your line.
Yeah, right. It keeps you from, keeps the line from breaking, because if you have this all taut, nice, you know, really cinched up, and boy, I want to horse him in, then he might, you know, turn and snap the line, right? So you want to have that kind of loose like that, right? So he's able to pull it out. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to cast this. Okay, so with all this weight, I'll be able to cast this really far. So like Rick said, and I've actually seen rod or reels on here that actually have a little lever that you can actually hold on to too. It's like a little placement for your finger. This one doesn't have that, so I just take it like Rick said, and I'm just going to take that and I'm going to pinch that up here, okay? And then I'm going to open my bail like that. So now it's open. See that? So it's actually, the line's free now, okay? And then make sure to hold on to the rod, right? And then I just, as I flip it, I just let go with my finger, okay?
Wow.
Okay, it's got good weight, so that thing went pretty good. And then, so the couple things you can do here, like we talked about, I mean, this is a lure, so I need to reel that in, otherwise it's gonna get snagged. But if I was bottom fishing, I'd let it sit and I'd let out line. But instead, I'm gonna actually take this and flip it over, flip the bail back, and like Rick said, you could do it by reeling, or I can do it just by flipping it back. Okay, I just take that and I flip it back over. Okay, and now I better reel because I might lose this lure if it gets snagged. So now with a lure, I got to keep it moving. You can't just let it sit on the bottom. It's not going to do anything. So you just reel. Okay, and this one's pretty heavy, so I have to reel fairly fast to keep the action. And you can see the action here. I'm going to try to show you that. Okay, so here's the action on this lure. So if I put it in the water, I'm just going to try to drag it so you can see it. I don't know if you can see that or not. You probably can, it looks like it. So that's what I'm doing, right? And you can kind of pay attention to see how fast you really need to move it to get it the right action that you want. You know, if you reel too slow, it's not going to do anything. If I reel too fast, fish can't keep up with it, but I get pretty good action. So you got to kind of, there's a happy medium somewhere in there that you want to have it. So
Gotcha.
So I was telling Rick the story of when we were I think Rick had gone because Rick joined the military.
Yeah.
And we were at home, us boys, and we used to have this wooden, probably like I guess a 6 or 8 foot pram. I don't know. That's what we always called it.
Probably 6 foot, I'll bet.
Yeah, it probably was only 6 foot, but we used to. So we had a wagon that made all kinds of noise, and we'd get up early, and we'd load that pram on that wagon, and we'd drag it down. Drag it down our street early in the morning, all the way to Phantom Lake.
That had to be, that's a long way.
That was pretty far, yeah.
So. Probably close to a mile, I bet. Or it's got to be at least a mile.
You kind of do what you need to do. But
that's funny.
Probably drove our neighbors crazy though.
Quite the sight to see.
Early in
three of you guys.
Well, salmons, our friends, the salmons. Yeah, we would get up early and do that. A lot of times there's two of us.
You guys are what, like 11?
Probably, yeah, 10, 11.
10, 11 years old?
Yeah.
Wow. Cool.
So I switched, this is my nicer rod, so I switched so I'm bottom fishing now on this rod. We're probably going to move here in just a second. We were just showing you, because this dock, it was perfect for setting up the tripod and showing you a lot of the basics, but we're probably going to move to a different spot here.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're at a state park, and there's a swimming area right over there. And to me, fishing near a swimming area probably ain't the greatest spot, you know, because the fish get spooked by all that action. Nobody's swimming right now, of course, but nevertheless, they get used to probably hanging a certain spot, so I'm not sure how good this is. Although it is nice, the accommodations are nice.
Right.
And we was, you know, we're learning how to fish this lake. Really, we haven't fished this. What? I fished it on a boat once, and we had a really nice fish on out there off that point, deeper. But we were in a boat, and then I mean, it seemed like a nice fish, and then all of a sudden it turned into a snag because I think he went down and wrapped himself around something. It was boom. I was done.
There was all kinds of fish tales, so we don't know if Rick actually had a fish on.
You know, I think I dreamt
that's
that.
his story, and that's what he's sticking to it. The fish wrapped himself around something. Yeah. Oh, okay.
Well,
it was a lunker.
It was the biggest fish ever caught in this lake.
It was massive.
Still hasn't been caught. But my wife, Karen, when Rob came to live with us, she hadn't fished really. Her dad wasn't much of a fisherman. You know, they kind of river fished, which is really difficult unless you know what you're doing. But anyway, I got her, whatever, a rod and reel, and for Christmas or something. So I think it's Christmas, and she kind of looked at that like, right.
At least you didn't get her a vacuum, right?
I probably have done it. Well, but she loves to fish now.
Yeah.
She started fishing with us, and she outfishes me. Probably not Rob, but she outfishes me most of the time. But that's another thing I was going to mention is we're using power bait, but good old worms.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you're squeamish or not about putting a worm on a hook, but they're usually pretty reliable. So yesterday I was going to get some, but it got a little too late. There is a store up the road. They might be open about before too long anyway. And so I might run up there and get some. If we're not having any success, I might run and get some worms.
Yeah, I almost stopped because I think the lady said that gas station on the way had them, but I thought we got limited time because I'm actually going to go record my podcast with Travis after I leave Rick here. So Rick was nice enough to get up early and meet me here. Again, this is, you know, more to show you kind of the experience of fishing, and we always like to get up early to do it because it's just calm. It's pretty.
Part of the fun.
It
really
is part of the fun is getting up early, having coffee or hot chocolate and donuts, and just enjoying the experience, enjoying each other's company. I think that's such a big part of it. Just enjoying the time together, because these moments come and go so quick. Make sure to stop and smell the roses.
Right. I was going to say that if you do fish with a worm, they will sink, right?
Yeah.
So usually we combine that with marshmallow, and they make scented marshmallows they sell at the bait store or whatever. And Karen, my wife, she loves the yellow ones, and she's got a certain way of rigging that thing up.
Yeah.
And she calls it the backpacking worm. So by the time the thing's all hooked up, it looks like this worm is backpacking a marshmallow. And she does really well. And the marshmallows are soft enough, and they get soft that the fish will just bite right through it. And so it's that helps it to float up. Right?
And there's all kinds of scents of marshmallows too. So garlic, I think, is one that we always
I
seem to
kind of wanted to try one.
Oh, that's
see
okay.
what it tastes like. But catches fishermen like crazy.
All the different scents. I don't know if that even does anything or not. But the main reason we use it is so it floats.
Yeah, so. Right.
Okay, I think we're going to pack up and move, and going to go try another spot where I don't know if you can see it from here, but see out there's kind of a point, and then there's, I think, another point beyond it. That's where we like to normally fish, because we think, and I think this is true, that, you know, kind of off of a point is a place for the fish to hang out, and then plus there's usually a drop off out there too. And my understanding is you kind of want to get them right about, or they kind of hang out right at the drop off, so they can go to shallow water or they can go to deep water, and they kind of hang out there. Also among seaweed too. They kind of like the cover of lily pads or seaweed and that sort of stuff, but you are dealing with snags and that sort of thing. So we do try to
I think that's
figure that. All right, so this is a big part of fishing, is having your coffee and your donuts. So. And I always like old fashioned. This is my favorite.
as far as packaged donuts, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I agree.
So. Cheers. Okay, so now we're hoping to actually catch some fish if we can, but
Yeah, that'd be good.
because there is a certain way to netting. Wait for this car to pass by. Might show you that really quick, even though we don't have a fish on. I'm going to show you how to net. Hopefully I won't have to use this and I can actually show you us really netting a fish, but just in case we don't catch a fish, I'm going to show you how to net them.
We're guessing that's what you do. We're guessing.
We've seen people net fish before.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the art of netting. Okay, when your friend has a fish, you want to try to get them, and this is part of being a good fisherman too, is bringing the fish to the net. I got a bee bugging me here. Okay, so you put the net in. So you want to kind of have the net like this and have him bring it to you, right? So if Rick catches a fish and he's bringing it in, we're in a position where I'm actually kind of just holding the net like that open, right? So that the fish comes into it. You don't want to, if he brings the fish over, you don't want to go, you don't want to thinking you're going to scoop him like that. Sometimes you might have to in a desperate attempt, but the right way to do it is to have it in the water like that and let him bring it to you, and then you just kind of scoop it up like that, right? You kind of just set it in and then bring it up.
Yeah.
Okay? All right, so I hope that was helpful for you to at least kind of see what the experience is like. Sorry again that we couldn't catch anything, and hopefully you kind of hung with us the whole time. I realize it's a little bit of a longer video, but that's fishing for you. You can be out there for hours and hours, but again, just enjoying each other's time and also doing something as well. And hopefully you catch some fish based on some of the stuff that we showed you. So again, this was sponsored by Lubriderm Daily Moisture Lotion, fragrance free. I'm grateful for them for wanting to continue to help support us. And thank you for watching, and God bless you.